A lot of games to cover and a lot of things to talk about with regard to the Little Brass Bell, which is 75 years old. We learned the hard way this week. But
Yeah.
we'll go over that a lot more here on our live show. Yes, we're doing a live of In the Huddle. Baby.
Hey,
We can hear you.
hear me clunk around.
This is a live show. That they can hear everything
Yeah,
you're doing over there. Okay, so don't think we can just cover this up in editing like we always do.
yeah.
Well,
I'm
we
got
got a lot of games.
one-handed. I got a friend here who's helping me
Oh,
out. So
okay. That explains. That explains a lot.
I'm trying to get stuff out of it. Let sleeping dogs lie is the old saying, and so what am I gonna do?
Wow, that's taking it to a new extreme right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's our order of events. We're going to go over the games to watch for Week 3. We are going to focus in on the Little Brass Bell for a little bit with our friends at Wheaton, Luke and Brayden Anthony. Yes, they are brothers on that football team. And then we're going to pretty much do our predictions for 10 minutes, give or take.
We'll try to shoot for less than. We'll see.
Yeah, good luck. I think we have too many
Yeah.
games for that to happen. So anyway, let's focus in very quickly here. We did show some news from D3 Playbook that Union and RIT, but Union is the only one that has a football team in Division III, had applied for financial aid for athletics-based grants and aid, essentially, from the NCAA's Division III Management Committee, and they were denied based on the history of what the decisions have been with respect to that for Division III institutions. Specifically, they were doing this for Division I ice hockey for both of those schools. Interesting that they were not given any opportunity there. It's not to say that it's a final decision or they can't be pursued otherwise, but Union, there have been rumors along the way that Division I hockey might be something that they look at maybe returning to Division III along the way because of the cost of Division I hockey. And we'll see where this all goes here because that affects the entire athletics program at a school like Union. Your other schools that have the grandfathers are St. Lawrence, Clarkson, which is not in football, obviously, RPI. Hobart has lacrosse, and
Yep.
Johns Hopkins does as well, for those that are wondering other sports or other cases where the
Yeah,
grandfather exists.
yeah. Well, Hopkins though is grandfather. They definitely can't allow scholarships, whereas schools like Hobart cannot in lacrosse. So
Yep. If you didn't have them in 2004, essentially, the ruling or the minutes say you're not going to get them now. So you're kind of stuck. Either you're going to have to return to a Division III structure entirely if you think that the cost and benefits aren't meeting what they should be, or you're going to have to just suck it up and maybe have less chance to get the upper level players if they're looking for those scholarships, etc. So interesting to see that. We thank D3 Playbook for their coverage, and also they give us a shout every now and then, I know, so thank you to them.
yeah.
Okay, games of the week to watch here. I'll let you take us through them.
Well, as we've said, earlier, RPI versus WPI, kind of an annual trophy game. We'll be talking about another trophy game that involves a bell a little later. But in Region 1, Engineers versus Engineers on Saturday, I think at 2:00 should be a good one. And then Mass Dartmouth has a chance to make a claim as the top of the MassCAC. Framingham State is started off 0-2. The Corsairs 2-0 and looking pretty strong, even with a backup quarterback. And then finally, the Middlebury versus Williams, the NESCAC season opener. There's 4 other games, but this was one that ultimately kind of ended up being the championship, with Middlebury finishing 9-0 last year and Williams finishing 7-2. Should be a great kickoff for both of these programs. Down in Region 2, or over in Region 2 rather, Springfield heads over to Schenectady to play Union, and what's become a good rivalry there. Can the Dutchman's high-powered offense keep clicking, or will Springfield rack up the 495 rushing yards they had against Rowan in Week 2? Down in New Jersey, Salve Regina travels to take on Montclair State, who's looking for a win. It'll be their first home game in a long time. And I also understand it's Coach Giancola's birthday, Frank. So you'll have to wish him a very happy birthday from all of us. I think the cat's kind of gotten out of the bag that you will be in attendance for that one. So all of those Seahawks and Red, it's the battle of the Hawks, the Seahawks against the Red Hawks. The Hawk Bowl. Maybe they need to make a trophy for that. And then finally in the nightcap, Western New England versus Utica is an interesting matchup, pitting the kind of the top team in the CCC, at least historically. I think Endicott will have something to say about that in a few weeks. But for now, the Golden Bears have been the team to beat in New England, and they're traveling out to Utica to try out some of the riggies and greens and all that good stuff in upstate New York. Randolph-Macon plays Bridgewater in the opening of ODAC play. Carnegie Mellon, Grove City, and Westminster at Case Western kicks off a pretty strong slate of packed games this weekend. And then over in Region 4, we have some interesting matchups between Hanover and Albion. Platteville's taking on Franklin. Worcester is against Ohio Wesleyan. And then as we get down to the sort of the right-hand corner here, the games that really jump out, North Central versus Wheaton at 7 p.m. Eastern. That'll be a 6 Central kickoff. And then Barry versus Whitewater in an interesting matchup between an SAA and a WIAC team. Hendricks is going to play Howard Payne at a neutral site in Texas. That's another Saturday night kickoff. And then for you diehard Red Eye fans on the West Coast, Linfield is going down to Southern California to take on Redlands. This is typically a game that we've seen in the past in the first round of the NCAA playoffs sometimes. And so that'll be on at 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific. And just a great slate of games here in Week 3, starting to see the last of the out-of-conference matchups and some of the beginning of some really important in-conference games that will really start to count towards that race for the conference titles and Pool A bids.
I'm looking at quick hits from D3Football.com that just got released. And upset pick is Greg says Union, Pat says Union, Adam says Randolph-Macon, Ryan says Chapman. I say what I will tell you about in predictions coming up. And Bob Quillman says Whitworth against Claremont Mudd Scripps. So we'll see how that all goes there. So let's take a little bit of a look here. You pointed out the Little Brass Bell game, which is number 4 versus number 5 on the D3Football.com top 25 rankings.
Yeah.
North Central at number 4, Wheaton at number 5 in Region 5. It has implications galore. The loser is probably looking at a Pool C bid opportunity. The winner is looking probably at the Pool A bid in the CCIW, although there are other teams that will have something to say about all that through the rest of the season. So we'll see where it goes from there. But I understand that there is a lot of gravity in this game, not just from national implications with rankings and all that and whatnot, but a lot of playoff implications this early in the season. And if the team that loses the game doesn't run the table, they are likely not going to get a playoff bid, but they are probably an heir apparent to a Pool C bid based on how the CCIW is viewed after what happened in 2019. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. We brought in Luke and Brayden Anthony, who are the quarterback and defensive lineman, and Wheaton seniors, brothers, and we want to talk to them about what happened in 2019 to them. Specifically, remember the spike after the touchdown by Jake Hibben that led to a missed extra point. In fact, we'll see here coming up in a second. And it caused them to lose 34-33 to St. John's when the extra point was missed. And we wanted to talk to them about the idea, hey, it's been, how many days between that event and when you could play your first game a little while ago. Did that sort of just kind of get stuck in your craw, that whole situation? And how does it play out in terms of your mood and desires here in 2021? And here's what the answer was.
Yeah, I mean, that day feels like yesterday. I mean, obviously, in that game, there was numerous amount of things we did wrong. You can't really define it on that one play. And then since that day, we really, 24-hour rule, we moved on pretty quickly, started preparing for the 2020 season. And then I think it was sometime late July, we got the notification that our season was going to be canceled due to COVID. And so obviously a lot of people were uncertain because especially the older guys, we didn't really know how we were going to do come back for with credits and everything. So a lot of people were, trying to decide if they go into the workforce or if they push their life back for a full year. And so that was a very tough time. And then we actually ended up having, a majority of our, I guess, my class of fifth years, and then also a lot of 6 years coming back. And we just, we trained for a lot of days, and I think it was like 650 before or 2 weeks ago for our last game. And it was just really a big mental barrier and having to just hope that this season does happen, because with these new COVID issues, there's a lot of uncertainty with times today. And so we're just really grateful that we got this opportunity to have a season this year.
Along those lines, Brayden, just to kind of pivot off that, what were the conversations internally about trying to get some of the what would have been seniors last year to come back, especially on the defensive side that you're on?
Just to get those guys back. I know they wanted to play. I know like the last game in 2019 season, it was just like they were all down, but they knew they wanted to come back and just to like have another chance to play football again, which was a big thing. And just like with the amount of guys also coming back was also a reason why they wanted to come back too. Just like we had a bunch of starters coming back. And yeah, going off what Luke said too, just like our theme, like steadfast through the storm, just like the past 2 years, which is like you're in the storm, just with COVID and everything. So I just think like the theme and like the defensive guys were just like pushing harder in the weight room, and yeah.
You guys know what it takes to beat a team like North Central, and if you look back on that box score, Luke, you threw for 3 touchdowns once the game was tied up 21-all, I believe, and even though it doesn't seem like you're the receiver, that a couple of those passes is still, he probably graduated, no longer on the team, and the defense had something like 10 tackles for loss, lots of sacks. I think they sacked Rudder about 7 times. You guys know what it takes to beat a team like North Central. Does that tape help you guys, or because the cast of characters is so different now, you really just have to take the tape from their last game against Aurora and just sort of go from there?
Mm-hmm. I'd say our tape from 2019 is definitely a big learning thing. There's always things you can do better in every game. So we really just, watched a lot from that. And then obviously they're 1 game in, we're 1 game in. So there's definitely a lot of uncertainty between both teams because there's a lot of new names. But we're just, whatever the coaches, our schemes, we're just going to execute and then, play our butts off. And it's really what it comes down to.
And Brayden, in the similar light, you look at last week, and they're putting up a 60 spot basically against the team that we really thought would give them a challenge in terms of Aurora, and that offense was just purring at all points and times, it seemed like. I mean, what do you learn about that? Is this the same team you feel like from 2 years ago that your team beat, or is this a team that's maybe even upgraded from that point, from what you can tell?
I can't really tell yet. We each have only played 1 game. We're both like competitive teams, and I just feel like it's going to be a great game. I feel like it's going to go both ways, of course, and like they're definitely going to make some plays, and we're going to make some plays. But I think it's just going to come down to like competitiveness. Whoever wants to win.
How did it feel to be back for you guys? Braid, we'll start with you on this one. How did it feel? What was the Northwestern Minnesota 56-0? I think was the score in that game. And just similarly, you guys are purring at all times. It seems like in that game. But I mean, did it feel weird to you to be back in a field after so long, with the CCIW pretty much opting out of the spring? And what did you kind of gain from that game? Was it kind of the sense of relief, or give us your overview of lacing it up for the first game after 650-ish days, as Luke said?
Yeah, I mean, it was like the big thing was just being able to play football. That was the most fun thing, and just being around like a great group of guys on the defense that just love the game. Just to be able to play with them, which was like a big thing, because the whole spring we got it was all COVID issues and stuff. Just like there was no games, it was just practice, and I feel like the game atmosphere was a big thing. And also just it was just also awesome being out on the field, and we're looking forward to playing North Central, which is going to be really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, guys. Sorry, go ahead, Luke.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was definitely surreal. It was really nice. I mean, I guess not so much for me because I don't really hit anyone, or no one really hits me. But it was nice for our guys to, hit someone else besides our own teammates, because we've been doing that. Because in the spring we had our first pad practice, and just smashing heads with each other, your teammates. It's a lot different feeling when it's another team. So that was really nice, and it just it felt surreal. It's like, wow, we're like, hey, the day's finally come. We're finally back playing, not against each other, but against another opponent. It was really awesome.
Yeah, speaking of bashing heads, I know that sometimes siblings can kind of get after it a little bit, and it can be competitive. One of the things I thought was really interesting about the Thunder roster, not just you guys, but there's like 3 or 4 other pairs of brothers on your team. Is that it seems kind of unique in a way. I can't recall seeing this many guys on the same team that are related to each other. Maybe not the same class years and all that, but is it something about the program that families really what kind of got you guys initially interested in basically kind of coming home, because you originally from Wheaton, you grew up there, and then you went off to, I think, Dayton for a little bit to try that, but you ultimately came home and you're together, but you're also together with a bunch of other guys with their brothers. Is this sort of a cultural thing for the Thunder, or is it something else?
I guess just being able to play with your brothers, a big thing. Just playing with your family, even though a whole football team is family, but just the culture around Wheaton, it brings people together. Just playing, glorifying God on the field, which is a big thing. Wanting to play football where the coaches represent the Lord big time, which is a big thing that it calls your family together. It brings your and also being able to play with Luke, who's also a big thing in playing football, and to get other guys on the team that have brothers. I'm pretty sure they would say the same thing. It was just want to play for a college that loves the Lord, and just playing around with everyone who great group of guys who just come together and just love the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going off that, I mean, I think the number one thing that brings everyone on our football team is for Christ and His kingdom. That's a big part of our team, to develop spiritually with the guys around us, and be disciples for the Lord. So I think that's the number one attractor for a majority of the guys. And obviously, there's a lot of family tradition here. Me and Bray, we both have a lot of our family. We have 2 uncles that played football. Our cousins also on the team, and then it's just kind of a big family tradition where a lot of people on the team have uncles or their parents went to Wheaton, and it's just everyone's attracted to forming their own spirit with the Lord, and then being a disciple for Him, and just really being around Christian men is really, just awesome.
This team is a force to be reckoned with. Your ranking shows that. Has there been any feeling, though? We were talking to Coach Thorne a couple of weeks ago about this question of respect level when it comes to polls and rankings and this and that and the other thing. Brayden, you guys were picked to win the CCIW, which is strange to some people because the team that you're above won the championship in 2019. But at the same time, you guys are not ranked nationally above them. Depending on what you look at, maybe 1 to 2 spaces differ. Is there kind of a feeling of respect that is going to come with this game for whoever wins it, that you're fighting for that level of respect, not just necessarily first place in the CCIW?
Yeah, I mean, we both respect each other. We both respect North Central, and they respect us, of course. And just like a big thing, like coming out is like the bell, like it's Ding Dong Week, which is really big for Wheaton and North Central. Just like the winner who gets the bell, and that's a big respect, I guess. And yeah, I mean, rankings don't mean anything yet, which I believe, which is a big thing. And yeah, but I know both teams respect each other.
Ding Dong Week. That has a good ring to it. Guys, tell us a little bit about this, what this rivalry really is. I mean, there are certainly trophy games across college football, all over the place. But what does this one particularly mean? What's sort of the history behind it, and what is the ultimate trophy, this bell, all about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the bell. I mean, there's obviously a lot of rivalries across the country for Division I, Division II, Division III. I think this is one of the biggest rivalry games for D3, just because of the national implications that both us and North Central have had throughout the past few years. And I mean, I don't know when the bell started, but I know it's been going around for a while. I mean, it's just, it's really just like, no one wants to give up the bell, just like any rivalry where there's a trophy or some sort of material at hand. And, it's always awesome when you're going against your rival and also one of the top teams in the country. It just gets the excitement going, and we're just excited for this weekend. It'll be a good one.
Guys, since I'm an old guy, I'm going to tell you it's a 75-year-old bell at this point. 1946, the little brass bell was deemed the trophy for this game. And that I think if you add up your ages and my age, we might get there to 75, but it's close. It's very close. But it's a big rivalry for sure. And as you said, Luke, with the implications of how your teams are viewed nationally, it carries even more right now. So I expect to see a full house. It's at Wheaton, I believe, unless I'm reading it wrong. So home cooking may be important there. Yeah, under the lights and everything else. So it's going to be a great atmosphere for you guys. But before we get to that game, as is our tradition here on In the Huddle, we want to give you both the opportunity to send shout-outs to any family, friends. This could be the most redundant thing that we've ever had on our show, but family, friends, coaches, etc., that might be watching. Luke, we'll start with you, then go with Brayden, but don't steal all of Brayden's thunder here because we want him to have some fresh material. Go ahead.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll shout out. Our mom and dad, and our sister, and our youngest brother. I'm just really thankful for them. Shout out to grandparents. I think a lot of our family will be in attendance for the game. Shout out to coaches. Just really excited for this weekend.
You took all my shout outs. Family, coaches especially, but especially like the whole defense. Shout out to them. I know we're gonna play hard, really hard. I just know that. Just being around like the 3 other D linemen, Jake, River, Dallas. I know shout out to them. They've been such great role models to me. You took all my other shout outs, I guess. Yeah, family.
Well, I'm going to throw a flag on this whole thing. First off, brother and sister want their names out there. So brother and sister's names are?
Nikki is the youngest, and then my sister's Mackenzie. She's actually at Baylor playing soccer right now.
Oh, tremendous.
Oh, cool.
Good luck to her. And then number 2, Luke. You got to name the offensive lineman. Just because you might have to feed them on occasion, which probably makes you bankrupt. I mean, go ahead.
Looking back, I really kind of messed up that shout out, but definitely a shout out to Jake Hibben, Paul Fay, Gabe McGill, Trevor Gabriel, and Graham Wall. I love those guys. Wouldn't be able to do anything without them. They really are what make the offense run. Pass game, run game, all of the above. Without them, we would not be where we are at right now.
Well, this is going to be interesting. That little brass bell game. Easy for me to say, JB.
Ding Dong Week was my favorite term that came from that. And speaking of ding dongs, that might have been you and me because we didn't quite track down the names. Unfortunately, I think their Uncle Joel mentioned that not only are these two guys, brothers playing together, but their cousins, who they mentioned, are Giovanni Weeks and Jalen Schaefer. So once again, just one big happy family there in Wheaton, Illinois, with a huge game on Saturday night. Ding Dong Week, here we go.
Indeed. We have a question, actually, for a Region 6 team, or a team playing in Region 6 technically this week. We'll put it that way, because normally it'd be Region 3
I think is what it is, yeah.
Yeah. So basically the home team is how we divide the regions out, for those that are wondering here how this is all lined up.
Our
go ahead,
scientific
JB.
method.
What's our question?
All right. Well, we got a question from Gary Barnett, who asked us, did you see a difference in the teams that were playing their second game of the season against teams playing their first game and the teams who were both playing their second game of the season? That's a lot of first and second.
Let's do that again now. I'm slow on a Friday like this. We got a lot of things going on. So
remember this, Frank. We had teams that played in week 1, and then they played in week 2. And then there were also teams that played in week 1 but didn't play in week 2. And then we also had teams that didn't play in week 1, and so on and so forth. So we've had some teams with 2 games. We've had some teams with 1 game, for instance. So like in the for instance here, Hendricks going to Howard Payne. Howard Payne is 2-0. Hendricks had their first game canceled in week 1. They played their week 2 game against River Falls. Didn't go their way, so on and so forth. So the old adage is teams that make the most improvement from game 1 to game 2. And so he was wondering if that rang true this past weekend.
Well, let's look at Aurora versus North Central. North Central had no game under their belt. Aurora had 1 game, a very good game against St. John's under their belt. And you guys know the results of that. That was a 60-point-ish drubbing, basically, by the team that had no games. I'm curious to see how Heidelberg does this weekend, having played no games so far because of a double cancellation for them. That'll be an interesting, I think, test of the whole when you're in the clubhouse for too long, what happens to you scenario. I was tempted to pick them as a team that could be upset this week or something to watch on the quick hits, but I did not. I think they're still good enough to beat who's in front of them this weekend. So my answer is I used to think there was an important difference, and maybe in the first quarter of the first game for a team that hasn't played for a week or for a season, it does. But at the same time, I think overall, these teams, when they're evenly matched, know to come out and play strong. So Hendricks, this will be interesting to see if they can bounce back. I'm not going to lie. I thought they were going to do a lot better than they did last week, and that was disappointing to see for the Warriors.
Yeah, and Howard Payne is no slouch. I mean, they're averaging close to over 500, maybe even 600 yards per game on offense. Can put up a lot of points. And, the one other X factor, Frank, that we really just don't have visibility on, and for good reasons, COVID. We don't know what teams are having to leave, 10 starters at home because they tested positive on a Friday, and maybe they're not playing with the proverbial full deck of cards that they would have otherwise. So there could be some games, some upsets or losses in this case where we just, we don't really know, why they tested positive or not or whatever. But there are going to be definitely some teams that will be impacted by these COVID protocols, and it's going to vary week to week.
You ready?
Yep. Let's see if we can actually keep it under 10 minutes.
You know how it works. I'll name the first game. You go first. I'll start the clock once the game's named. It's on the screen, but I'll just give you some extra thinking time to get this ready and done. So here we go. Good luck, JB. After a 7-5 and 7-5 weekend last weekend, let's do better. First game, Middlebury at Williams. Go.
I mean, the Eves and Bobby Marin and company winning this game wouldn't surprise me, particularly since they're the home team. But I'll go with the defending champs. My dad's a Middlebury grad, so I got a little, implicit bias there. Panthers win in another close call, 31-27. That might have even been the score from 2 years ago. It was close.
Coach Raymond and company get some revenge on this whole Middlebury wins the NESCAC thing last time around. 2 years away is a long time, and they didn't do much in the NESCAC in terms of the spring or the fall or anything else from what we understand. So I'm going to say Williams wins this game 28-24 in a barn burner. Trust me in the fact that as I move things around on my screen to get this next one up, the game is the Transit Trophy game, RPI,
yes.
WPI. I will go first, the Transit Trophy. Boy, it's tough because WPI, I would want to say, showed themselves well against Endicott, except for what happened at the last minute, and the COVID stuff may have affected them. But it's the first game where RPI families will actually be able to be in the stands to watch their kids play. Think about that for a second. Yeah. Masked up, I believe, but hey, they'll take it. I know they will. So RPI ends up winning this game. This thing usually tests those lights in the scoreboard, as we always say, 37-34.
Well, except for that 1 year, Frank, when I think WPI won on 2 field goals, 6-3. So
yes, good point.
We've seen both teams in action. We know WPI had some players that missed that Endicott game. Maybe they're back this week. Maybe not. I will take the Engineers from Rensselaer to win a close call, sort of like what they did last week. 17-14, I think a field goal will decide it.
I was curious to see, what was going to happen there, or what you were going to say and everything else about RPI, and if we're going to have 2 games different. We got to keep going here, though. Salve Regina at Montclair State. Which is somewhat behind me here, I believe. Yep, their old poster is behind me.
There's the poster.
Yep.
The Hawk Bowl.
Exactly, and you go first.
Boy, a third of the Seahawks are from New Jersey. It's a homecoming game. Montclair, as the home team, should have an advantage, but their offense hasn't scored a touchdown in 8 quarters of football. It's just the defense who's been scoring points. So I'll go with Joey Moriello and company to win this in a slugfest. It'll be a lot of running, a lot of power football. 28-21. I think Montclair will finally get on the board, but
I think Montclair has the defense that Salve hasn't seen yet. It's been a generally potent defense. We saw what they did against RPI, generally, scoring 3 touchdowns, in fact. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think Montclair may get this one. 31-28 in favor of Montclair State. Speaking of CCC teams, let's go to one that's playing at Utica. That's Western New England at Utica. And it's tough to beat Blaise Fagiano's team at home. I think Utica right now is becoming one of my possible favorites to at least be up there in the Empire 8 now that we've seen Brockport come down. Now, Cortland obviously has a lot to say about this. Alfred, I don't see too much greatness coming from right now. That could change, obviously. But Utica is a team that I think is going to be there. And so I think this is a good test for them. Remember, Western New England and Brockport played in 2019 in the playoffs, and it was a good back-and-forth matchup. A lot of things have changed for both teams, except for Adam Raza on the offense, who had a great touchdown in that game. I was just looking back at that game the other day. Utica wins this 27-20.
Well, I will go with, there's another hat behind me. I probably can't see it, but I'll take the Golden Bears from New England. I'll stay true to my New England roots. There's my grandmother's Red Sox jersey over my shoulder. Oh, wrong way, James. Remember how it works. So, yeah, I'll take Western New England. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, but the Golden Bears will outlast the Moose 31-35. Wait, 35-31.
Sorry. Clock shrinking on us. Randolph-Macon at Bridgewater. Go.
Randolph-Macon's probably going to start slow but win big in the second half. I'll take the Jackets to win this one 42-28.
Randolph-Macon wins 35-21. Next game up is going to be the big one in the pack. Westminster at Case Western Reserve. I think Westminster's defense got enough tests to see what they need to be like and play like in a game like this when they face Mount Union. It's going to be tough to win on the road, no doubt, against Case, but I just have a feeling here that we're going to have a good, tight game that Westminster pulls out 21-20 over Case Western Reserve.
This is another one where you don't really know what the status of Westminster's two-star wide receivers. If they play, that's one thing. If they don't, that's another. I do feel like Drew Saxon and company at home, they have something to prove. They were left on the sidelines. I think they are going to win a close call at the end, 28-24. And we got the Union hat coming out. Here we go.
Yeah, there comes a point where you do have to go back to the norm, especially in a Springfield week. I should have done this a while ago. Carnegie Mellon at Grove City. This is yours.
Tough call, man. I think Carnegie Mellon's a little more battle tested than Grove City, even though they have such a huge home crowd advantage. So I'm going to take the Tartans to play spoiler a little bit here because they looked better in the spring a little. They didn't get to play as much, and Grove City struggled. I will take the Tartans in a low-scoring 21-17 battle.
Grove City wins this one at home. They're just tough to beat at home, and they'll fall behind and come and pull miracle endings all the time. And miracle endings is something they probably love to hear. Coach DiDonato and company there. 27-23 in favor of Grove City. Albion at Hanover. Hanover disappointed us recently, and I just have a feeling here that they're going to bounce back at home after that road trip that they faced last go-around. I think Hanover wins a very high offensive output game, 41-34.
I think that game is actually at Albion. That's my bad because I filled it out incorrectly.
If that's the case, so, I get a do-over. Hold on, I'm going to check this while you talk then.
Yeah, I thought I sent you a text about that before.
You did. And actually, we changed it on one thing but not the other thing, so we'll get this right. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm still going to pick Hanover by the same score, but I'll tell you, it's a tough game.
Yeah, I just feel like Albion looked really strong in the spring. They've started off this fall really strong as well. I think the Britons are going to be a tough team to beat in their conference and otherwise, so I will take them to win 35-24.
2 minutes. North Central, Wheaton, Little Brass Bell.
Ding dong. Whose turn is it?
You.
I'll go with the champs. They just look too impressive in that game against Aurora. No disrespect to Wheaton, but until somebody knocks off the Cardinals, they're the best in my opinion. We'll see what happens. I think they'll hang on to win 31-28.
I picked it in quick hits. I will pick it here. Wheaton wins with Luke Anthony's arm and legs behind them by the score of 27-24. Barry at Wisconsin Whitewater. Look, Barry, you're doing a great thing by playing this game and going up there. By all means, you're not going to win it, but congratulations for going up there nonetheless. And Coach K, I think, has the same knowledge and thought, having been around the national landscape long enough now. Wisconsin Whitewater wins this game by the score of 40-20.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it ends up being like the Salisbury game, maybe 31-14 as far as like competitive goes. But I'll also take the Warhawks in this one at home.
Hendricks at Howard Payne, go. 30 seconds.
Too much offense for Howard Payne. I think they will hang on to win this one in the shootout. It'll be 35-21 HPU.
Hendricks comes back, bounces back in this game. There's no way they're losing 2 in a row, and especially in the nature they did with the last game. They are focused now, and they're going to win this game 31-21. Linfield at Redlands. My upset special. Linfield is going to lose this game, I believe. I just have a feeling here that Redlands is going to win against number 11 Linfield. Redlands has been playing decent football, not the greatest of football, but I don't know. This may be one of those, hey, only one game under your belt versus 2 games under your belt scenarios that plays out decently like that. Redlands at home in the night sky and everything else. I just feel like this is an upset in the making. Redlands wins this game. Low-scoring game, 21-17.
Wow, interesting. Because I thought that the sort of the coaching turmoil at Redlands might, I don't know if it's going to mess them up or not, but I feel like Linfield has just been a core team that's been working on really hard since the end of 2019. I'll take them to win. I think they're going to win this one big, 45-21.
We'll see what happens. I'm not picking against Union, obviously, as my cohorts at D3Football.com have seemed to do. That was the consensus-ish pick by them there, so that is not going to be what I do here. But look, week 3 is going to be one of those defining weeks, we think, in terms of were certain things we saw in the first couple of weeks anomalies, like the Hendricks situation. I mean, that was not something we expected to see. Springfield beating Rowan the way they did. Are they going to be able to beat back on Union, who won with a 60 spot themselves a week ago? A Little Brass Bell game, you have both teams playing lights out, so who's the one that's going to stand up here and show themselves as the true team between those two? NESCAC play coming to be. RPI and WPI, can't define either one of those teams right now. That'll be an interesting game to see who's left standing after that. But, JB, it's going to be a good week. I'm going to be at Morrisville tonight, and then at Montclair tomorrow. So Mo and Mo, basically.
Momo.
Yeah, Momo, and then I'll be reffing tomorrow night. I wish I could go to the Union Springfield game, but schedule won't allow this week. I will get to Union soon, as we said earlier in the week. But last thoughts here on week 3 from you, sir.
Well, like we've been saying this whole past week, this is when we start to see the transition from out-of-conference games into conference games. And let's be honest, the Wheaton and NCC, the fact that it's a conference game with Pool A implications, same thing with Westminster and Case, these are huge games. And the fact that they're happening in week 3 is kind of awesome in a way that it's so early on. But it's also like it's a head-scratcher because whoever loses those games, their season isn't definitely over. There's going to be 5 Pool C bids, and I can almost guarantee you, Frank, that whoever ends up second place in the WIAC is probably getting one. Same thing with the CCIW. Now, would the PAC get an extra look?
Tough call.
Who knows?
Tough call.
Yeah.
But you said Pool A implications. I'd say Pool A and Pool C implications because at least it starts to shape the way we look at Pool C a little bit. If these are routes, that will count toward the assessment later on. If these are close games that they lose, then that will count as well in their favor, the team that needs the Pool C bid ultimately. So keep your eye on that stuff. It's obviously early in the season. Things can be forgiven from the first quarter of the season-ish that we see, but At the same time, this is pretty big stuff, and we can't underscore it enough here. We'll see what we end up with throughout the weekend. Obviously, check Twitter for the games I'm covering and for JB's coverage from his easy chair at home as he gets all those videos and whatnot up and gives you the stats and retweets things. He does an incredible job on our D3FB Huddle handle and on our Instagram page as well. And then, yes, that one right there. You got it. But watch mine right here for those game updates from Morrisville State tonight, Montclair State tomorrow. And then we'll have our show. We're going to aim for either Monday late or Tuesday early to get our scoreboard show up and highlights show up this time, crunch time segment for next week. So little by little, we're trying to get this organized as we play catch up with our lives after the first couple of weeks.
We juggle with life. And speaking of juggling with life, Frank, I would be remiss if I didn't say that. I know you suffered a loss. The Union College family suffered a loss this week, and so hopefully you're doing okay. And if you have any words you'd like to say, I think we'll dedicate this weekend to your colleague there, fellow alum or what have you, and I'll let you take it from here to take us out.
Yeah, Ben Goodhue died from brain cancer, 46 years old, basically in my graduating class at Union College, went on to be an assistant coach at Springfield, and then went into high school coaching and teaching as well. It's ironic that Springfield is playing at Union with his death occurring this week. Very sad, but as I said on Facebook, Ben did not lose cancer because in the process of all this, he helped get a lot of us who had lost touch with each other back together even during COVID, and this last stint to raise money and support him. $75,000 was raised on GoFundMe for his family, knowing that it was a pretty dire circumstance and that the second time around, because he had beaten it once, they thought, but it came back, did this rare form of brain cancer. He did pass away, but we did raise a crap load of money, I guess we should say, and he loved hearing me say that because he loved when I was a little bit more honest and abrasive like that. But Ben was a gentle soul, a great guy, always supportive of the stuff I did at Union College, and Union was trying to give back to him in this whole thing to get him back to campus before the final sunset of this whole situation. Unfortunately, he didn't get back there, but he is back there. He will be watching over that game this weekend, I am sure. So to Ben's family, our condolences. To our Union football family that knows Ben, or even if you didn't, it hits hard when it's this age. You can't be serious that people are dying of cancer at this age. I mean, it's one thing when you look at these communicable diseases. It's another one, it's cancer. It's like you can't predict any of that. It's hard enough predicting COVID, but you really can't predict cancer, and F cancer, put simply here.
Yeah.
We will see you guys this weekend and then next week with more episodes 11, 12, and who knows, maybe a 13th episode as well. But until then, thanks for joining us on this live show, and good luck to you and your teams. May they play well, and may you enjoy the results of their work.